With shiny objects. That's how you trap a monkey.
If you got anything from Johnny, check that because that boy be putting that CBD in y'all.
Johnny Dang, the king of bling, may be selling rappers fake diamonds. At least that's what they're saying. His own ex-employee told everybody to get their pieces checked. When they did, the results had the culture questioning every chain, every grill, and every dollar spent. Here's the full story. When day one's turn.
Well, what's up then, bitch ass nigga? Let's fight. Give me an address, I'll shoot you. That's why they got to go to that.
In mid-March 2026, the entire hip-hop internet caught fire. And it all started with one man, one Instagram Live, and one very expensive set of teeth. See, Houston rapper Sauce Walka, a day one ride or die. Been there since the jump customer of legendary jeweler Johnny Dang went absolutely nuclear on camera. And when I say nuclear, I mean this man grabbed a stick of dynamite, lit it, and tossed it straight into the middle of a 20-year relationship for the whole world to watch. Sauce went live, showing off a brand new permanent $1 million plus grill. And this wasn't just any grill. This was made by Plug Geo, Johnny Dang's former employee, his own worker who had walked out the shop years earlier. Let that marinate for a second, because the disrespect is layered. The man didn't just switch jewelers, he switched to Johnny's ex-worker, broadcast the whole swap on camera, and then told his followers to do the same. Sauce dramatically retired his old Johnny Dang pieces right there on the live, pulled them joints out, showed off the new ice from Geo, and told everybody watching to take out the Johnny Dangs and put in the Geos. He claimed he dropped hundreds of thousands to over $500,000 across 2 decades on custom grills, chains, and pieces, including a major $500,000 Cuban chain that was reportedly so expensive the transaction had to go down inside a bank. And the accusation at the heart of it all? Sauce alleged that Johnny had been charging premium natural diamond prices while using cheaper lab-grown CVD diamonds that were passed off as mined natural stones. In other words, he was saying he got played, finessed, bamboozled for years by someone he considered fam. Now, here's where you need to understand the science for a second, because this distinction right here is the entire crux of the beef. This is the whole reason the internet is on fire. Lab-grown and natural diamonds are chemically, physically, and optically identical. Both are pure carbon crystals with the same hardness, brilliance, and sparkle. You could hold one in each hand, and you would not be able to tell the difference. Your jeweler couldn't tell the difference with a basic loupe. Even most professional diamond testers can't distinguish them. Only advanced lab testing with UV fluorescence and spectroscopy can reliably tell them apart. The only real difference between the two? Where they come from. Natural diamonds form over billions of years deep in the earth under extreme heat and pressure. Lab-grown diamonds get created in a controlled facility in just a few weeks using processes called HPHT or CVD. Chemical vapor deposition. Same carbon, same crystal structure, same ice on your wrist. But the price gap? Bruh, the price gap is astronomical. As of 2026, lab-grown diamonds cost roughly 73% less on average than natural diamonds of identical specs. So a 1-carat natural stone running you anywhere from $4 to $7 grand, that same quality in lab-grown might run you $800 to $1,500. You do the math on the markup if someone's swapping those out and charging you natural prices. That's the alleged finesse right there, looking your client dead in the eye, telling them they're getting that earth-formed billion-year-old natural ice, and sliding them something that was cooked up in a lab last month for a fraction of the cost. But if Sauce Walka was the spark, then the gasoline that turned this whole thing into a wildfire came from an insider. See, Jose Mata, also known as Plug Geo or Geo, was Johnny's former longtime employee and associate who had left the shop around 2021. And when he left, he didn't just walk out quietly and go start his own thing in peace. Nah, Geo came out swinging. He went on Instagram Live and aired out everything, his grievances with how he was treated, the wages he was paid, and most explosively, what he claimed was going on behind the scenes with the diamonds.
I was an asset to your company, bro. Nobody was doing that I was doing for you.
Geo painted a picture of a young worker, only 23 years old when he left, who had been flying out multiple times a week to service high-profile clients, picking up hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash on behalf of the business, and generating millions in revenue. He said he asked for a modest raise from 2% commission to 4% and was denied. He said he was earning $10 an hour. He said he was getting money deducted from his paycheck for minor paperwork mistakes. And most damning of all, he had already gone on camera years earlier, alleging that the operation used CVD, lab-grown stones, and passed them off as natural with certifications, slapping on massive markups. Pieces that allegedly cost $3,000 to $5,000 to produce were being sold for $50,000, $100,000, or even more as natural diamond work.
Bro, you sitting at your $1 million mansion, chilling, drinking your cognac, like,
And then Gio went even harder, telling everyone watching to take a closer look at what they'd been buying.
Everybody who's watching, if you got anything from Johnny, check that because that boy be putting that CBD in y'all.
Now that clip right there went absolutely viral. An insider, someone who was actually in the building, making the pieces, flying out to meet clients, telling the world to get their jewelry checked, that hit different. Gio wasn't some random hater from the outside looking in. He was describing what he said he witnessed firsthand. And now, he was the one who made Sauce Walka's $1 Million Grill, which meant the two of them were essentially a united front against Johnny's entire operation.
And that's really the reason why I left, because there was no loyalty in none of this shit that he was saying.
And if Sauce and Gio were the spark and the gasoline, then the match that had already been struck months, even years and before, came from none other than Chicago drill star Lil Durk. See, way back in September 2021, Durk had posted an IG story that read, "Stop buying all this jewelry without knowing what you're doing. A lot of this fake and some is overpriced. Get one jeweler and stick to them. I'm telling you, y'all gonna be pissed when the truth come out." That warning dropped right around the time Lil Baby got exposed for wearing a fake $400,000 Patek Philippe watch that he'd purchased from New York jeweler Raffaello & Co. Watch experts, people like Fake Watch Buster on social media, had spotted the inconsistencies almost immediately, pointing out flaws that even some professional jewelers had missed. Lil Baby publicly called out the jeweler on Instagram, essentially saying, "Y'all know better than to sell me of all people a fake." The jeweler, Gabriel Jacobs, apologized, admitted they failed to properly vet the piece, issued a full refund, and gave Lil Baby extra rings worth between $50,000 and $70,000 as compensation. But the damage to the culture's trust, that was already done. You can't unring that bell. Then in March 2022, Durk doubled down with another IG story. Don't blame the rapper or athlete's Nomo, blame the jeweler for selling them that bogus. When the Sauce Walka drama exploded in 2026, reaction channels and content creators immediately pulled up Durk's old warnings and stitched them right alongside the new allegations. The "truth come out" line sounded straight up prophetic. It was like Durk had been trying to tell the whole culture what was coming, and nobody listened until it was too late. And just like that, what started as one Houston rapper switching jewelers turned into what people were calling the biggest jewelry scandal in hip-hop history. But here's the thing, y'all. To really understand why this whole situation hit so deep, why it shook the culture the way it did, you gotta understand who Johnny Dang actually is, where he came from, what he built, and just how far he had to climb before anybody could even think about tearing him down. The king of bling's empire. See, Johnny Dang, born Jang Antoine, ain't just some random jeweler who popped up out of nowhere and started selling chains to rappers. Nah, this man's story is straight up movie material, the kind of come up that makes you sit back and say, damn, that's really the American dream right there.
You asked to see the boss? I'm Johnny Dang, the king of bling. Easy on the rock.
We talking about a dude who was born in 1973 in a tiny little village in Jac Lac Province, Vietnam, a place with no electricity, no running water, none of the luxuries that we take for granted every single day of our lives. The Vietnam War had just ended, and his family was living through the aftermath of all of that devastation. But here's the thing, his grandfather and his father were both jewelers, so even as a little kid running around barefoot in the countryside, Johnny was already getting schooled in the art of metalwork and craftsmanship. That trade was in his blood from the very beginning.
My father and my grandfathers were jewelers. So in Vietnam, when I grow up, saw them how to make jewelry. So that's got in my mind about jewelry business.
His pops had been a soldier in the South Vietnamese army, and in 1987, the man literally fled the country on a boat, like we talking about one of those life or death escape situations, and eventually ended up in Texas, where he opened a small jewelry repair shop. But Johnny and his mama and his brothers, they got left behind. For nearly a decade, his family was separated. Think about that for a second. That's 9-10 years of waiting, hoping, wondering if you're ever going to see your father again.
My dad, he escaped from Vietnam by the boat. So he sponsored us, me and my brother and my mom. So we came, our family came here in 1996.
And that right there is when it all started. Johnny touched down in Houston, Texas in August of 1996. At 23 years old, barely spoke a lick of English, didn't have no bread stacked up, no connections, no safety net. But what did he have? He had hands that knew how to work gold and diamonds. And he had that immigrant hunger that don't let you sleep until the bag is secured.
I've been in Houston since that day. When I came here, I went to work in flea market as a jewelry repair. After flea market, I opened in garage like a small kind of workshop.
By his Second day in America, his second day, y'all. He was already posted up at a flea market jewelry kiosk with his brother, doing repairs for as little as $35 a day. $35. Most people spend that on lunch without thinking twice. But for Johnny, that $35 a day was the foundation of everything that came after. He was grinding side jobs on top of the flea market work, learning American jewelry styles on the fly, noticing how much bigger, bolder, and flashier pieces were here in the States compared to the delicate Asian jewelry he'd grown up making. He adapted fast, and by 1998, just 2 years after stepping foot on American soil with nothing but his skills and his hunger, he opened his first store, TV Jewelry, in Houston's Sharpstown Mall. But the real game changer, the moment that took Johnny Dang from a local mall jeweler grinding in obscurity to a certified hip-hop legend whose name would ring bells from Houston to Harlem and everywhere in between, was when a local DJ and aspiring rapper named Paul Wall walked through that door. Now y'all gotta understand, Paul was already deep in the Houston scene at this point. He was out there selling basic gold teeth, handing out flyers for other jewelers, doing whatever he could to stay connected to the culture while trying to make his own music pop off. The fallout. Alright, so by this point, the entire internet is going absolutely crazy. Every hip-hop page, every reaction channel, every barbershop debate, everybody and their mama is talking about Johnny Dang and these diamond allegations. YouTube thumbnails with Johnny Dang gets jumped and biggest jewelry scam in hip-hop are flooding everybody's recommended feeds. Now, just to be absolutely crystal clear, there was no physical altercation, no jumping, none of that. Titles like Johnny Dang Gets Jumped are straight up clickbait hype. This was a reputation hit, not a physical one, but it was devastating all the same. So what did Johnny do? The man responded fast. Within hours of that clip going viral, he dropped a heated multi-part Instagram video series. Some sources describe it as 4 separate clips. And let me tell you, the pain in his voice was undeniable. This wasn't some polished PR statement crafted by a publicist sitting in a corner office somewhere. This wasn't some carefully worded legal document. Nah, this was raw. This was unfiltered. This was a man who felt genuinely betrayed by someone he'd known for 2 whole decades, someone he'd considered not just a client, but a brother from the same city, the same streets, the same Houston soil. He addressed Sauce directly, and his message was essentially, you don't have to shop with me, but if you put my name in your mouth, put some respect on it. He talked about their 20-plus year history, emphasizing that he'd never disrespected Sauce, never given him free stuff, but never asked for anything free either. He revealed that he had actually reached out to Sauce privately before all of this went public, tried to take him to dinner, even offered to bring him into the business so they could make money together. But Sauce went public anyway. Johnny defended his grind, pointing to the fact that he came from absolutely nothing, a war-torn village in Vietnam with no electricity, and built everything with his own 2 hands over more than 2 decades. He framed Plug Geo as a disgruntled former employee who left abruptly and had his own motives for speaking out. And on the diamond allegation specifically, Johnny didn't go line by line denying the lab-grown claims in his main clapback. Instead, he posted his own shop diamond testing videos separately and pointed out that his high-end clients specifically request natural stones, and that telling the difference between lab-grown and natural is damn near impossible with the naked eye. Now, while Johnny was defending himself, other people in the culture started weighing in. Chief Keef, for example, jumped in to defend his own pieces. He took his Johnny Dang pendant and watched to a mall jeweler, got them tested on camera, and the results came back green, meaning they tested as real, natural diamonds. He posted the whole thing online as if to say, my ice is legit, y'all can relax. But here's the irony. Instead of calming things down, it actually made things worse. Because now everybody and their cousin started taking their grills and chains to get tested on camera, and the results were mixed at best, which only fueled more lab versus natural debate. The man who co-built the entire brand, Paul Wall, has not made a single public statement about any of this as of late March 2026. No IG lives, no interviews, no tweets, nothing. He's continued to shout out Johnny Dang and co. in positive ways, and there are no signs of distance between them, but the silence is loud. Some people see it as Paul being strategic, letting Johnny handle his own response while keeping the partnership intact behind the scenes. Others wonder if there's more to the story that hasn't come out yet. And Sauce Walka himself, after all that scorched earth energy, he actually softened his tone in the comments. He called Johnny a goat with no hard feelings and even posted shop photos later, but the damage was already done. The clip had gone mega viral. The narrative was set. and the entire hip-hop jewelry industry was now under a microscope. As of late March 2026, there are no lawsuits, no receipts, and no confirmed independent tests proving widespread fraud. It's all social media smoke, he said, and a whole lot of opinions. Johnny Dang's shop is still open, new clients are still rolling through, Paul Wall is still on board, but the allegations have definitely put a dent in the iced-out aura. Diamond tester videos are trending harder than ever. Rappers are second-guessing every piece they've ever bought, and the broader narrative that multiple jewelers across the industry, not just Johnny, have allegedly been pulling similar moves, has the whole culture reevaluating how it spends its bread. At the end of the day, this story is about way more than diamonds and grills. This is about way more than lab-grown versus natural, way more than one jeweler and one rapper beefing on Instagram. This is about loyalty, the kind of loyalty that gets built over 20 years of handshakes, transactions, and mutual respect, and the kind of devastation that follows when that loyalty gets called into question. It's about trust. The fundamental belief that when you hand someone your hard-earned bread, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of it, you're getting exactly what you paid for. And it's about what happens when the people who helped build you up, the day ones, the ones who were there before the fame and the Forbes features and the celebrity client lists, start wondering if you were playing them the entire time. Whether Johnny Dang is ultimately vindicated or fully exposed, whether more independent tests and actual receipts surface, or this slowly fades into just another chapter of hip-hop drama. One thing is absolutely certain. The King of Bling's crown has never felt heavier. The man is still open for business, still making pieces, still has Paul Wall by his side, and new clients walking through the door. But the whispers ain't stopping. The Diamond Tester videos ain't slowing down. And the questions that Sauce Walka, Plug Geo, and Lil Durk raised, whether intentionally or not, have fundamentally changed how the culture thinks about the ice around its neck. If more artists drop tests, receipts, or responses, this thing could get even wilder. But for now, the culture is watching, the culture is testing, and the culture don't forget. Till next time, check out other videos on our channel. Click on the boxes you see.